The cargo ship Phoenix Dawn moved slowly through space. It looked old and tired, like most ships that carried goods between planets. Captain Jinho sat in his chair on the bridge, watching the stars. His ship was heading to the frontier colonies, with food supplies. At least that was what anyone watching would think. Jinho was a calm man in his 40s. He had short black hair and wore a simple blue uniform. Next to him sat Mina, his chief engineer. She was younger, maybe 30, with her hair tied back. She was checking numbers on her screen, making sure the engines ran smoothly. "Everything looks normal, Captain," said Taiho from his seat at the communications desk. He was the youngest crew member, only 25, but very good with radios and computers. "No messages coming in." Yuna stood near the back of the bridge. She was the security chief, a strong woman who always stayed alert. Her job was to keep the ship safe, though most people thought cargo ships did not need much security. The Phoenix Dawn was flying through a dangerous part of space called the Veil Nebula. Many pirates lived here because it was far from any government. Fleets. The nebula made it hard to see ships coming, which pirates liked very much. "Captain," Taiho said, his voice getting serious, "I am picking up 3 ships on our sensors. They are big, and they are coming toward us fast." Jinho did not look worried. "How far away?" "About 2 hours at their current speed. They are sending scanning beams at us." Mina looked up from her screen. "Those are Kethvar ships. I can tell by their engine signatures. Pirates for sure." The Kethvar were a race of tall, gray aliens with 4 arms. They were known throughout the galaxy for being cruel pirates. They attacked any ship they thought was weak, taking cargo and sometimes keeping people as slaves. "Should we run, Captain?" Taiho asked. Jinho smiled a little. "No, let them come." "Mina, are all our systems ready?" Mina nodded. "Everything is working perfectly, Captain. All systems are green." "Good. Yuna, tell your people to get ready." Yuna pressed a button on her belt. "Security team, this is Yuna. We have company coming. Get to your positions." She paused. "Remember, we are just simple cargo workers until I say otherwise." The 3 Kethvar ships were getting closer. They were big and ugly, covered in weapons and armor. The biggest ship was twice the size of the Phoenix Dawn. All 3 ships had been painted with scary pictures and symbols. On the lead ship, a Kethvar named Vorthak sat on his captain's throne. He was larger than most of his kind, with scars, covering his gray skin. His 4 arms ended in sharp claws that he liked to show off. "Look at that pathetic human ship," Vorthak said to his crew. "It is so small and old. They probably have good food and supplies." His first officer, a smaller Kethvar named Grix, looked at the screens. "Should we call for their surrender, Captain?" Vorthak laughed, showing his sharp teeth. "Humans always surrender. They are weak. But call them anyway. I want to hear them beg." Back on the Phoenix Dawn, Taiho's radio started making noise. "Captain, they are sending us a message." "Put it on the main screen," Jinho said. The ugly face of Vorthak appeared on their screen. "Human ship, this is Captain Vorthak of the Kethvar Raiders. Stop your engines and prepare to be boarded. Give us your cargo and maybe we will let you live." Jinho stood up slowly. He walked to stand in front of the screen so Vorthak could see him clearly. "This is Captain Jinho of the Phoenix Dawn. You need to listen carefully to what I am about to tell you." Vorthak looked surprised that the human was not scared. "You dare to speak back to me, little human?" "This is a protected vessel of the Terran." "Federation," Jinho said in a calm voice. "Any hostile action against this ship will be met with overwhelming force. You have been warned. Turn your ships around and leave this area now." The Kethvar captain started laughing so hard he could barely speak. His crew was laughing too. "Did you hear that? The little human thinks he can threaten us. 1 tiny cargo ship against 3 war cruisers." "I have given you fair warning," Jinho said. "What happens next is your choice." "My choice is to take your ship and everything on it," Vorthak shouted. "Grix, target their engines. Disable them, but do not destroy the ship. I want to see the fear in this brave human's eyes." The screen went black as the Kethvar cut the connection. Taiho looked nervous. "Captain, they are charging their weapons. 3 ships, all pointing at us." "Mina, how long until they are in firing range?" Jinho asked. "About 15 minutes, Captain." Jinho sat back down in his chair. He looked completely calm, like he was just taking a normal trip between planets. Well, we warned them. Everyone knows what happens when people do not listen to warnings. Yuna smiled. It was not a nice smile. My people are ready, Captain. We have been waiting for some action. Good. Taiho, start recording everything. Command will want to see this. Already recording, Captain. The 3 Kethvar ships got closer and closer. Their weapons were glowing, ready to fire. On their ships, the pirates were laughing and making jokes about how easy this would be. Vorthak was already planning how he would split up the human cargo. The food alone would be worth a lot of money, and human technology always sold well on the black market. Fire! Vorthak ordered. Blue energy beams shot out from all 3 ships. They hit the Phoenix Dawn's engines, making bright explosions. The human ship shook and its engines went quiet. Direct hit, Grix reported. Their engines are dead. They cannot run now. Perfect. Send the boarding pods. I want 50 warriors on that ship. Take everyone alive if you can. Dead humans do not tell you where they hide their good stuff. 3 small ships launched from the Kethvar cruisers. Each one carried Kethvar warriors with weapons and armor. The pods flew toward the Phoenix Dawn like angry insects on the human ship. Alarms were ringing. Red lights flashed on all the walls. Taiho was pretending to be scared, pressing buttons and trying to send distress calls that would not work. Captain, he said, acting worried. They knocked out our engines. We cannot escape. I can see that, Jinho said. He was still sitting, calmly in his chair. Mina, damage report. Mina was also acting. She made her voice sound scared. Engines are completely dead, Captain. We cannot move, and I am reading 3 small ships coming toward us. Boarding pods, Yuna said. She was checking her weapons. They want to take the ship intact. The first boarding pod hit the side of the Phoenix Dawn with a loud clang. Metal cutters started working to make a hole in the hull. Soon, the Kethvar warriors would be inside. Jinho pressed a button on his chair. All hands, this is the captain. We have uninvited guests coming aboard. You know what to do. Throughout the ship, humans who looked like simple cargo workers started moving. But they were not really cargo workers. They were soldiers, all of them. Very good soldiers. The first hole opened in the ship's hull. A Kethvar warrior stuck his ugly head through, looking around with his big yellow eyes. He saw what looked like a normal cargo hold with boxes and containers. Clear, he called to his friends. Just a cargo hold! More Kethvar poured through the hole. 20 of them, all carrying energy rifles and wearing thick armor. They spread out, looking for humans to capture. That was when Yuna gave the signal. Now, she said quietly into her radio. The cargo boxes suddenly opened. Human Marines came out, already firing their weapons. The Kethvar had walked right into a trap. The Kethvar warriors had no time to react. One moment they were walking into what looked like an empty cargo hold. The next moment, human soldiers were shooting at them from all directions. Yuna moved like lightning. She rolled behind a container and fired her plasma rifle 3 times. 3 Kethvar fell down, their armor smoking from the hits. The other humans moved just as fast, using the cargo boxes as cover. Ambush! One of the Kethvar shouted. It is a trap! But it was too late. The humans had planned this perfectly. Every box, every shadow, every hiding spot was part of their plan. The Kethvar were caught in the middle with nowhere to hide. The pirates tried to fight back, but human weapons were better. Human training was better too. In less than 2 minutes, all 20 Kethvar in the first boarding pod were either dead or wounded. Yuna spoke into her radio. Cargo hold 1 is secure. No human casualties. On the bridge, Captain Jinho listened to the reports. More boarding pods were attaching to his ship. The Kethvar were sending more warriors, thinking the first group just got unlucky. Mina, Jinho, said, I think it is time to show our guests what this ship really is. Mina smiled. She had been waiting for this moment. Yes, Captain. Should I start the full transformation? Do it. Mina's fingers moved quickly over her controls. Deep inside the ship, powerful motors started to work. The Phoenix Dawn began to change. On the outside, the ship looked the same, but that was about to change too. Mina pressed a big red button marked Combat Mode. All over the ship's hull, panels. started to slide away. What the aliens thought were normal cargo sections opened up to show weapons. Big plasma cannons came out of hidden spaces. Missile tubes appeared where fake storage tanks used to be. Shield generators that had been hiding inside fake communication equipment turned on. In 30 seconds, the Phoenix Dawn went from looking like a helpless cargo ship to looking like a dangerous warship. On Vorthak's ship, the sensors operator could not believe what he was seeing. "Captain! The human ship is changing." "What do you mean, changing?" Vorthak growled. "Weapons are appearing all over its hull, big ones, and they are powering up shields." Vorthak looked at his main screen. The small, weak cargo ship was now bristling with enough weapons to fight a cruiser. "How is this possible?" "It is a trap, Captain," Grix said. "They were waiting for us." The Phoenix Dawn's weapons turned to point at the 3 Kethvar ships. Captain Jinho's voice came over the radio, calm and clear. "Kethvar vessels, this is your final warning. Leave this area immediately, or you will be destroyed. You have 10 seconds to decide." Vorthak was angry and scared at the same time. No one had ever tricked him like this. "All ships, open fire! Destroy that human ship!" The 3 Kethvar cruisers fired everything they had. Energy beams and missiles flew toward the Phoenix Dawn, but now the human ship had its shields up. The alien weapons hit a glowing barrier and exploded harmlessly. "There. Shields are too strong," the weapons officer reported. "Our guns cannot get through." "Then fire more," Vorthak screamed. But the Phoenix Dawn was already firing back. Its plasma cannons shot bright blue beams that cut through space like swords of light. The first beam hit Grix's ship right in the engine section. There was a huge explosion, and the Kethvar cruiser started spinning out of control. The second and third beams hit the other cruiser. That ship's shields failed immediately, and the beams tore through its armor like it was made of paper. The ship broke apart, spilling air and debris into space. Vorthak's ship was the biggest and strongest, but it was alone now. His other 2 ships were either destroyed or helpless. "Retreat!" he ordered. "Get us out of here!" But Captain Jinho was not finished. The Phoenix Dawn launched 4 missiles. They were smart missiles that could chase their target. Vorthak's ship tried to run, but the missiles were faster. 2 missiles hit the ship's rear shields. 2 more hit its engines. Vorthak's cruiser stopped moving. Power failed all through the ship. Emergency lights came on, bathing everything in red. "Engines are dead, Captain," his engineer reported. "Shields are down. Weapons are offline. We are helpless." Inside the Phoenix Dawn, Captain Jinho was getting reports from all over his ship. The Kethvar boarding parties had been defeated in every section. Yuna's people had captured 30 aliens alive and killed 40 more. "Damage report?" Jinho asked. "No damage to any important systems," Mina reported. "A few scratches on the armor, nothing more. Casualties? 3 Marines have small wounds. Nothing serious," Yuna said. "The medical team is taking care of them now." Jinho nodded. Everything had gone exactly as planned. He opened a channel to Vorthak's crippled ship. "Kethvar Captain, can you hear me?" Vorthak's ugly face appeared on the screen again. But now he looked very different. His arrogant smile was gone. His yellow eyes showed fear. "What? What are you?" Vorthak asked. "I am exactly what I told you I was," Jinho said. "Captain of a protected vessel. You chose not to listen to my warning. You said you were a cargo ship." "I never said that. You assumed it. There is a difference." Vorthak looked around his ruined bridge. Half his crew was dead or injured. His ship was dead in space. "What do you want from us?" "I want you to remember this day," Jinho said. "I want you to tell every pirate, every raider, every criminal in this part of space what happened here. When humans give a warning, they mean it. You are going to let us live? Some of you, your crew members who survived, can take the emergency pods and go home. But you, Vorthak, are coming with us. You have killed too many innocent people." "You cannot do this! There are rules about prisoners!" Jinho's expression did not change. "You gave up your right to those rules when you decided to be a pirate. Yuna, send a boarding party to collect our prisoner and any survivors who want to surrender." "Yes, Captain." While Yuna's Marines went to collect Vorthak, Taiho was busy at his communication station. He was sending a message that would go to every ship in the area. "Attention all vessels. the message said. "This is the Terran Federation ship Phoenix. Dawn. We have just defended ourselves against pirate attack. The attacking vessels ignored standard warnings and paid the price. Let this be a lesson to anyone else who thinks human cargo ships are easy targets." The message included video of the battle. It showed the Phoenix Dawn transforming from a harmless cargo ship into a powerful warship. It showed the HFY cruisers being destroyed. It showed what happened when someone ignored a human warning. Within hours, that message was being copied and sent all over the galaxy. Pirates, traders, and military officers watched it with great interest. Some laughed at the HFY for being so stupid. Others started to wonder what other surprises the humans might have. On a space station 3 systems away, a Zelkari smuggler named Thex was watching the video for the 5th time. Zelkari looked like big lizards that walked on 2 legs. Thex was known for being smart and careful. "Look at that," he told his partner. "The humans have been busy. Just 1 ship," his partner said. "How many more could they have like that?" Thex thought about it. Humans were new to this part of space, but they were already making a reputation. "I think we should be very careful around human ships from now on. Very careful." Back on the Phoenix Dawn, Captain Jinho was writing his report. He sat in his small office behind the bridge, typing on his computer. "Engagement with HFY raiders successful," he wrote. "Enemy vessels destroyed or disabled, with no significant damage to Phoenix Dawn. Warning protocols followed exactly as ordered. Recommend continuing current mission parameters." He paused and looked out his small window at the stars. 3 HFY ships had attacked them today. 3 ships were now destroyed or helpless. The surviving pirates would go home with a story that would spread across the galaxy. That was exactly what Command wanted. Fear was a powerful weapon, and today the Phoenix Dawn had used it well. Mina knocked on his door. "Captain, we are ready to continue to the colonies. Engines are back online." Jinho saved his report and stood up. "Good. Take us out of here, Mina. Our cargo is waiting." As the Phoenix Dawn flew away, it looked like a simple cargo ship again. Its weapons were hidden. Its shields were down. To anyone watching, it seemed like just another merchant vessel going about its business. But now everyone knew the truth. Human cargo ships were not what they seemed to be, and human warnings were, not empty threats. The news about the Phoenix Dawn spread through the galaxy faster than anyone expected. In every spaceport, cantina, and trading post, people were talking about the human cargo ship that destroyed 3 HFY cruisers. Most pirates decided to stay away from human ships after hearing the story. They found easier targets and left the humans alone. But not everyone was smart enough to learn from other people's mistakes. Admiral Crixnall of the Zephyrian Empire was one of those people who never learned. Crixnall was the commander of the Zephyrian 4th Fleet. His people looked like tall birds that walked on 2 legs, with sharp beaks and bright feathers. The Zephyrians thought they were the strongest race in the galaxy, and Crixnall thought he was the strongest Zephyrian. He sat in his command chair aboard the battleship Talon of Victory, reading reports about the human incident. His bridge officers watched nervously as his feathers turned dark red, which meant he was getting angry. "One small human ship," he said, his voice like a growling animal. "One ship defeated 3 HFY cruisers, and now everyone is scared of humans?" His first officer, a smaller Zephyrian named Vectar, tried to calm him down. "Admiral, perhaps we should study their tactics before we—" "Study?" Crixnall's feathers got even darker. "The Zephyrian Empire does not study inferior races. We conquer them." Crixnall had spent 10 years building his reputation as the most feared admiral in this part of space. Other races paid tribute to the Zephyrian Empire because they were afraid of his fleet. If humans started making people less afraid, that could hurt Zephyrian power. "Sir," his communications officer said, "we are receiving reports of another human cargo ship in the Kepler system, the merchant vessel Stellar Wanderer." Crixnall's beak curved into a mean smile. "Perfect. Send the entire 4th Fleet, 12 heavy cruisers and 4 dreadnoughts. We will show the galaxy what happens when someone challenges Zephyrian authority." "Sir, that seems like a lot of ships for 1 cargo vessel." "I want to make sure everyone gets the message," Crixnall said. "We are receiving reports of another human cargo ship in the Kepler system, the merchant vessel Stellar Wanderer." Crixnall's beak curved into a mean smile. "Perfect. Send the entire 4th Fleet, 12 heavy cruisers and 4 dreadnoughts. We will show the galaxy what happens when someone challenges Zephyrian authority." "Sir, that seems like a lot of ships for 1 cargo vessel." The humans got lucky against some stupid pirates. Let them try their tricks against a real military force. 2 days later, the Zephyrian Fourth Fleet dropped out of hyperspace near the Kepler system. 16 warships, all painted in the bright colors of the Zephyrian military. Each ship was twice as big as the Phoenix Dawn, and they carried enough weapons to destroy a small planet. The Stellar Wanderer was right where the intelligence reports said it would be. It looked like every other human cargo ship, old, slow, and defenseless. It was carrying supplies to a mining colony on Kepler 7. Captain Soo-young was a woman in her 30s, with short black hair and calm brown eyes. She had been expecting this encounter ever since Command sent her the mission briefing. Like Captain Jin-ho, she was not really a cargo captain. She was a military officer with years of combat experience. Her crew was just as skilled. Navigator Dong-ho was a quiet man who could plot courses through the most dangerous parts of space. Weapons Officer Jun was a small woman who could hit a target from 1,000,000 kilometers away. Marine Commander Kyung was a big, strong man who had never lost a fight. "Captain," Dong-ho said from his position at the sensors, 16 Zephyrian ships just appeared on our scopes. They are heading straight for us. Soo-young did not look surprised. "How long until they reach us?" "At their current speed, about 1 hour. "Good. That gives us time to get ready. Jun, run a full systems check on all our weapons. Kyung, tell your people to prepare for possible boarding action." "Yes, Captain," both officers said at the same time. The Zephyrian fleet moved toward the human ship like a pack of hungry wolves. Admiral Krixnall was already planning his victory speech. After he destroyed this human ship, no one would question Zephyrian power again. "Open a channel to the human vessel," he ordered. Captain Soo-young's face appeared on his main screen. She looked calm and relaxed, like she was having a normal conversation with a friend. "Human Captain," Krixnall said, puffing out his chest feathers to look more impressive. "You are now facing the might of the Zephyrian Fourth Fleet. Surrender immediately, or we will destroy your ship and every human colony in this sector." Soo-young tilted her head slightly like she was thinking about something interesting. "Are you making threats against civilian targets?" "I am making promises," Krixnall said. "The Zephyrian Empire does not make empty threats." "Neither do we," Soo-young said. She stood up so he could see her full uniform. "This is Captain Soo-young of the Terran Federation vessel Stellar Wanderer. You are threatening a protected ship and civilian colonies. Any hostile action will be met with overwhelming force. You have been warned." Krixnall started laughing, just like Vorthak had. "One ship against 16? You humans must be even more stupid than I thought." "We warned you," Soo-young said. "What happens next is your choice." She cut the connection. On the Stellar Wanderer, the crew was moving quickly to get ready. But they were not preparing to fight 16 ships by themselves. They were preparing to spring a trap that had been months in the making. "Dong-ho," Soo-young said, "send the signal." Dong-ho pressed a series of buttons on his console. The message he sent was very short, just 3 words. "The trap is sprung." All over the Kepler system, human ships began to move. They had been hiding behind asteroids, inside gas clouds, and in the shadows of planets. Dozens of them, all waiting for this moment. The Zephyrians did not see them coming. Admiral Hyun-woo commanded the human fleet from his flagship, the dreadnought Retribution. He was an older man with gray in his hair and scars on his hands from many battles. He had been fighting wars since before most of his crew was born. "All ships, this is Admiral Hyun-woo," he said over the fleet communication channel. "Execute Operation Mousetrap. Repeat, execute Operation Mousetrap." Throughout the system, human ships started their engines and moved into position. Stealth fields shut down, making ships appear out of nowhere. What had seemed like empty space suddenly filled with warships. The Zephyrian sensors operator could not believe what he was seeing. "Admiral, ships are appearing everywhere, dozens of them!" Krixnall looked at his tactical display. Red dots were showing up all around his fleet. Human ships were coming from every direction, and they were all bigger and better armed than anything the intelligence reports had mentioned. "How many ships?" he asked. "At least 30, sir." "No, 40. They keep appearing." The trap was perfect. The Zephyrians had come to hunt one helpless cargo ship, but instead they had flown into the middle of a human battle fleet. Admiral Hyun-woo had used their arrogance against them. "Zephyrian fleet." Admiral Hyun-woo's voice came over the communication channel. You are now surrounded. Power down your weapons, and prepare to be escorted out of this system. Crixnell's feathers were turning white with fear, but he was too proud to surrender. All ships, attack formation! We will fight our way out! Sir, Vector said quietly, we are outnumbered 3-1. Maybe we should— No retreat, Crixnell screamed. Zephyrians do not run from inferior species. The battle began when the Zephyrians fired first. Their energy weapons lit up space, with bright colors as they shot at the nearest human ships. For a moment it looked like they might have a chance. Then the humans fired back. Human weapons were different from what most aliens used. Instead of bright energy beams, they fired solid metal projectiles at incredible speed. The projectiles hit harder than energy weapons and were much harder to stop with shields. The first Zephyrian cruiser to get hit simply came apart. The human projectiles went through its shields and armor like they were not there. The ship broke into pieces, spilling air and crew into space. Impossible, Crixnell said. Our shields should have stopped those weapons. But human weapons were designed to fight other humans, and humans had spent thousands of years learning how to kill each other efficiently. Alien shields that worked well against energy weapons could not stop solid projectiles moving at half the speed of light. Captain Su-Yung watched the battle from her bridge. The Stellar Wanderer was staying out of the main fighting, but her weapons were ready if she needed them. The Zephyrians are learning a hard lesson, Jiun said. Their tactics are too predictable. Most alien races fight the same way, Su-Yung replied. They line up their ships and shoot energy weapons at each other until someone wins. They are not used to human tactics. The human ships did not line up for a fair fight. They moved in complex patterns, working together like parts of a machine. Some ships would distract the enemy while others attacked from behind. Some would pretend to retreat, leading Zephyrian ships into traps. Admiral Hyunwoo commanded the battle from his flagship, but he let his individual captains make their own decisions. Human military training taught officers to think for themselves and adapt to changing situations. Alien militaries usually just followed orders from the top. In 15 minutes, half the Zephyrian fleet was destroyed or disabled. Admiral Crixnell watched his beautiful ships being torn apart by weapons and tactics he did not understand. Admiral, his communications officer said, the humans are sending us a message. Admiral Hyunwoo appeared on the screen. He looked calm and professional, like a man doing his job well. Admiral Crixnell, he said, you have lost this battle. Order your remaining ships to surrender, and I will allow your crews to return home safely. Admiral Crixnell stared at the human admiral on his screen. Around them, space was full of burning Zephyrian ships and floating debris. In just 15 minutes, the mighty Fourth Fleet had been reduced to half its original size. You cannot do this, Crixnell said, his voice shaking. The Zephyrian Empire will not stand for this insult. We will send every ship we have to destroy you. Admiral Hyunwoo's expression did not change. Admiral, you attacked us. You threatened to destroy civilian colonies. You ignored our warnings. What did you think would happen? We are Zephyrians. We are the masters of this part of space. Not anymore, Admiral Hyunwoo said calmly. Your empire has been living off fear and reputation for too long. Today you learned that humans do not fear you. On the Stellar Wanderer, Captain Su-Yung was coordinating with the other human ships. Her navigator Dongho was tracking all the damaged Zephyrian vessels, making sure none of them tried to escape. Captain, June said from her weapons station. Admiral Hyunwoo is asking if we need assistance. Tell him we are fine, Su-Yung replied. Our job is done. We were the bait, and the trap worked perfectly. The plan had been months in the making. Human intelligence had been watching the Zephyrian Empire carefully, learning how they operated. The Zephyrians were bullies who used their military strength to force smaller races to pay tribute. But they had never faced an enemy that fought back effectively. Admiral Hyunwoo had studied every battle the Zephyrians had ever fought. They always used the same tactics, overwhelming force applied directly. They would send a big fleet to intimidate their enemies, then demand surrender. It worked because most races were afraid to fight such a large force, but humans were different. Humans had been fighting wars against other humans for thousands of years. They knew that bigger did not always mean better. They knew how to turn an enemy's strength into weakness. Sir, the tactical officer on the Retribution reported, 3 Zephyrian ships are trying to flee the battle zone. Let them go. Admiral Hyunwoo ordered. "We want survivors to take the story home." This was all part of the plan. The humans did not want to completely destroy the Zephyrian fleet. They wanted some ships to escape and tell their emperor what had happened. Fear was a powerful weapon, and the humans intended to use it. On one of the fleeing ships, Commander Zektor was sending an emergency message to Zephyrian Command. His ship had lost its main engines and was limping away from the battle at half speed. "This is Commander Zektor of the cruiser Swift Talon," he said into his communicator. "The Fourth Fleet has been destroyed by human forces. Repeat, Admiral Crixnell's fleet has been destroyed. The humans were waiting for us. It was a trap." The message would take 3 days to reach the Zephyrian home system. When it did, it would cause panic in the Imperial Palace. No one had ever defeated a Zephyrian fleet so completely. Back at the battle site, Admiral Crixnell was finally ready to surrender. His flagship was badly damaged, and most of his crew was either dead or wounded. He had lost 8 ships completely, and the rest were too damaged to fight. "Very well, human," he said to Admiral Hyunwoo. "I surrender. But this is not over. The Emperor will send more fleets. He will send everything we have." "I hope not," Admiral Hyunwoo replied. "That would be very expensive for your empire, but if he does, we will be ready." The surrender took 2 hours to complete. Human Marines boarded the damaged Zephyrian ships to collect prisoners, and 6 months after the Battle of Kepler system, the galaxy was a very different place. The news of Admiral Crixnell's defeat had spread to every corner of known space. Pirates and raiders who used to attack any ship they pleased now thought twice before approaching vessels flying human flags. Captain Jinho sat in his chair aboard the Phoenix Dawn, watching the stars go by. His ship was on another patrol mission, carrying real cargo this time along with its hidden weapons. The route took them through some of the most dangerous parts of space, but they had not fired a shot in 3 months. "Captain," Taiho said from his communication station, "we are receiving a distress call from the freighter Lucky Strike. They say they are under attack by pirates." Jinho sat up straight. "How far away?" 2 hours at maximum speed. The attacking ship appears to be a single raider, probably Kethvar again. Set course to intercept. And Taiho? Yes, Captain. Send our standard message on all frequencies. Taiho smiled as he typed the message that every pirate in the sector now knew by heart. This is the Terran Federation vessel Phoenix Dawn responding to distress call. Any hostile vessels in the area are advised to leave immediately. You have been warned. 2 hours later, when the Phoenix Dawn arrived at the coordinates, they found the Lucky Strike floating safely in space. The pirate ship was nowhere to be seen. "Captain," the Lucky Strike's captain said over the radio, "thank you for coming so quickly. The pirates took one look at your ship's identification and jumped to hyperspace. They didn't even wait to hear your warning message." Jinho nodded with satisfaction. This was exactly what Command had hoped would happen. The mere presence of a human ship was now enough to scare away most pirates. Fear was indeed a powerful weapon. On the other side of the galaxy, Captain Su-Yung and the Stellar Wanderer were having a similar experience. She stood on her bridge watching a convoy of merchant ships from 6 different alien races. All of them had requested human escort through the dangerous Void Nebula. "It is strange," said Dong-Ho from his navigation station. "A year ago, most aliens would not even talk to humans. Now, they are paying us to protect their ships." "Word travels fast in space," Su-Yung replied. "Everyone knows what happened to Admiral Crixnell. They would rather have us as friends than enemies." The convoy included ships from the Zelkari Republic, the Mantis Collective, and even 2 vessels from the Zephyrian Empire. The Zephyrian ships stayed as far away from the Stellar Wanderer as possible, but they still wanted human protection. "Captain," June reported, "long-range sensors are detecting 3 unknown ships following the convoy. They have been staying just outside sensor range for the past 6 hours. Pirates testing our defenses," Su-Yung said. "They want to see if we will really protect alien ships. Should we warn them off? Not yet. Let them make the first move. I want to see how brave they are feeling today." The 3 pirate ships followed the convoy for another 4 hours, but they never came close enough to be a real threat. Finally, they turned around and flew away. The pirates had decided that attacking a convoy protected by humans was not worth the risk. The change in pirate behavior was just one sign of how much the galaxy had changed. On the capital world of the Galactic Trade Commission, Ambassador Eugene was attending an emergency session about space piracy. Ambassador Eugene was a skilled diplomat who had been representing human interests for 2 years. She was small and quiet, but she had a reputation for being very tough in negotiations. Today, she was listening to complaints from various alien governments about human military actions. "The humans are disrupting the balance of power," said Representative Clix from the Hegemony of Worlds. "Their aggressive tactics are causing instability." "Aggressive?" Ambassador Eugene asked calmly. "We have only responded to direct attacks on our vessels. Every action we have taken was in self-defense. You destroyed Admiral Crixnall's entire fleet after he threatened to attack civilian colonies and ignored multiple warnings. We acted according to standard military law." The debate continued for hours, but Ambassador Eugene knew she had already won. The other governments were not really angry about human actions. They were jealous that humans had found such an effective way to deal with pirates. Finally, the Trade Commission's president called for order. President Veltar was an ancient being whose species had been mediating galactic disputes for thousands of years. "The question before us," President Veltar said, "is whether human warning protocols should be recognized as legally binding under galactic law." This was what the whole meeting was really about. If human warnings became official, it would mean that any alien who ignored them would lose all legal protection. They could be attacked without consequence. "The humans have proven that their warnings are not empty threats," said Representative Thex from the Neutral Zone Alliance. "Perhaps it is time we acknowledge this reality." "But this sets a dangerous precedent," argued the Hegemony representative. "If every species starts making threats, other species already make threats," Ambassador Eugene interrupted. "The difference is that we keep our promises." The vote was close, but humanity won. The Galactic Trade Commission officially recognized human warning protocols as legally binding. Any alien who ignored a human warning would forfeit all diplomatic protection. The new law became known as the Terran Clause, and it changed how business was done throughout the galaxy. Ships flying human flags could now travel anywhere with complete confidence. Pirates avoided them like a deadly disease. But the real change was deeper than just new laws. The galaxy's psychology had shifted. For thousands of years, different alien races had competed for dominance through displays of strength and aggression. The species with the biggest fleets and the most fearsome reputations had ruled through intimidation. Humans had proven that there was a better way. Instead of trying to look scary all the time, they acted calm and reasonable until someone threatened them. Then they responded with overwhelming force, exactly as they had promised. This made them much more effective than species who made constant threats they could not back up. Engineer Mina was thinking about this as she worked in the engine room of the Phoenix Dawn. She had been promoted to chief engineer of the entire Merchant Marine program and was now designing the next generation of Q ships. The new ships would be even better at looking harmless while carrying enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. But Mina hoped they would rarely need to use their weapons. The reputation built by ships like the Phoenix Dawn and Stellar Wanderer was doing most of the work now. "Chief," her assistant called, "Admiral Hyunwoo is here to see you." Admiral Hyunwoo entered the engine room with his usual calm expression. He had been promoted after the Kepler battle and now commanded all human forces in this sector of space. "How are the new designs coming along?" he asked. "Very well, Admiral. The Mark III Q ships will be 50% more powerful than current models, but they will look exactly like standard cargo haulers." "Good. Though I hope we will not need to use them much." "You think the galaxy is becoming more peaceful?" Admiral Hyunwoo smiled. "I think the galaxy is becoming smarter. Most species have learned that it is better to trade with humans than to fight us." This was true. Human colonies were now some of the most popular trading destinations in the galaxy. Alien merchants knew they could do business there without worrying about pirates or corrupt officials. Human space had become a safe zone where deals could be made in peace. The changes went beyond just trade and military matters. On the frontier world of New Sol, alien diplomats were lining up to establish embassies and trade missions. Species that had never shown interest in humanity before were now eager to build relationships. Ambassador Tajin, the human representative on New Sol, was meeting with a delegation from the Crystalline Collective. The Collective was an ancient civilization that rarely dealt with younger races, but recent events had caught their attention. "Your species interests us," said Morden, the crystal being who led the delegation. "Most races either rule through fear or through weakness. You have found a middle path." "We rule through respect," Ambassador Tajin replied. "We treat others fairly, but we defend ourselves when necessary. This approach has brought you great success in a very short time. How do you maintain such discipline across your entire military?" "Training and culture. Every human child learns the importance of keeping promises. When we say we will do something, we do it." The crystal being's body flickered with different colors, which meant he was thinking deeply. "This is why your warnings carry such weight. Other species make threats they cannot or will not carry out. You make promises you will always keep." "Exactly." Later that day, Ambassador Tajin sent a report back to Earth describing the meeting. The report would eventually reach the highest levels of human government, where leaders were planning humanity's long-term strategy for the galaxy. The strategy was simple: continue doing exactly what they had been doing. Be fair and reasonable in all dealings, but swift and overwhelming in response to threats. Make few promises, but keep every one of them. This approach was working better than anyone had dared to hope. In less than 3 years, humanity had gone from being unknown newcomers to being one of the most respected species in the galaxy. They had accomplished this not through conquest or intimidatio,